There's something you need to know about nursing homes. Neglect and abuse have been happening for decades, but most people don't know it until they're in it. And by then, it's often too late. I know because it happened to my mom. Change is urgently needed because decades of traditional advocacy hasn't been enough to break a system that resists accountability. So we're doing something different. On September 27th, the ROAR movement is launching the first ever national walk for long-term care reform. Reform requires public pressure. It requires visibility, and visibility requires presence. We already have walk leaders in states across the country, and we're looking for a few more people to step forward and lead. Not because you have all the answers, but because you care enough to begin. This is your chance to make a real difference by thinking nationally and working locally, because the power of the people has always been greater than the people in power.
When the world has got you down.
Alzheimer's sucks. It's an equal opportunity disease that chips away at everything we hold dear. And to date, there's no cure. So until there is, we continue to fight with the most powerful tool in our arsenal, love. This is Love Conquers Alls, a real and really positive podcast that takes a deep dive into everything Alzheimer's, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And now, here are your hosts, Susie Singer-Carter and me, Don Priest.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Love Conquers Alls. This is Susie Singer-Carter.
And I'm Don Priest, and this is Love Conquers Alls, as Susie said. She changed it up a little today. So
I tried to freak you out a little bit. I just wanted to shake it
thrown.
up.
Wow, you shook me.
Yeah.
I am shaken.
Taking charge of this podcast now.
That's what you do. Yeah, go for it. What's up?
So, yeah. We're doing a walk. Did I mention we're doing a walk? And this is what I'm obsessed with.
I can't.
No, I can't. I have nothing else to talk about but this walk on September 27th, our national long-term care reform walk on September 27th on Sunday, and we have now 23 states
Thumbs
attached and ready to go.
Yay.
How great is that? We only started a month ago.
Yep. And let me tell you, and the reason
I may not live
states,
to walk it though.
Yeah, that's
I
exactly because
I will not.
Susie hasn't slept in the last month, and she's not planning on sleeping until September 28th.
I have I need better lighting. I can't get enough good lighting right now. Like the lighting is not working for me. I keep trying to find good lighting. It's not helping. Really need some sleep.
No. Amazing, progress that you're making. We have walk leaders in all 23 states now, correct?
They'll have to, yeah. You have to.
And then,
but there's more. We have 35 leaders, which means there's more than one walk in those said states. So we have 3 walks in New York and 2 walks in New Jersey, and don't ask me the rest, but we have more that add up to 35 leaders, and that's really good for just about a month that we've launched.
Absolutely.
So if you are in a state, you should go to our website, which is roarforltc.org, and you can see what states have been what am I trying to say? That they've been,
but that doesn't mean you can't have more. Even if it's in a state that like as we're saying, there could be multiple walks within a state. So
we would love as many walks as possible. Even small walks are meaningful. So since we're doing this synchronized, and it really sends a message out to the public that this is a pervasive problem. But there are states that we're looking for as well. So maybe it's your state. Maybe you want to help out and organize a walk. It's really not that hard. And it seems more daunting than it is. But a lot of us have never done it before. That's me. And I'm, organizing it. And it is what it is. And it's going to make you feel so good because it actually gives us agency to have it, make a change.
Yeah, and a walk can be 5 people. It can be 5,000 people. It doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be overwhelming. It could be you just have a group of friends or your church or whatever, and it's like we can all do this together. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. And heck, if you get 5,000, all the better. But it can be as many as there are. You can walk alone because you're all walking together. So. I mean, fear not.
Just get a sign out. Get your Sharpie out and make a sign, and get out there. Yeah, it's true though. I mean, it does. It is an energy that we're creating. So that's why we're doing it nationally all at the same time. It's really great. I'm gonna share that I just finished reading Cory Booker's book, which is so inspiring about taking a stand. And guess what it's called? Stand, which is it's a perfect title because he actually goes through the history of activism and how we know it, we hear it, that it starts with a few people, but he gives you all these examples of major changes in our country that have taken place and started with one person and then maybe a handful of people. And I also have the greatest saying now from his book, which is the power of the people is greater than the people in power. And that's true. So if you're nervous about joining us, don't be. Just come and join us, right, Don? How's your mom, Don?
Absolutely.
I'm changing the subject.
My mom that's a very fluid question.
Yes.
2 weeks ago, I mean, my mom has Parkinson's dementia, and for those who don't know, and she's, basically nonverbal. She's verbal because she speaks a lot, but most of the words are not words, they're just sounds. And she speaks as if, she's having a conversation, but there are no words, or the words don't make any sense, they don't go together. And 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden she started talking like full sentences. It was very strange, and some of them actually made sense. And she was there and alert and everything. And then last weekend we came there and she was asleep 95% of the time, and there were no words. There was just sounds. So it's all over the place. But she's there. She knows we're there. And, and that's all we can do is be there and let her know that we are there and, give her some comfort in that fashion. But, right now the place that she's at, thank God, takes very good care of her. She can't be there forever, unfortunately, because it's not a full-time place. But
it kind of is.
They're not telling us that she has to leave, so that's good, for now.
Yeah,
so,
there are some good places. See, very far and few between, but every once in a while,
you
guys
exist.
had good karma. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of that, and our upcoming guest who's waiting in the green room. Our digital green room.
Yes.
Who has a lot to say about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only way she's going to be able to say things is for me to tell you about her. So why don't I do that right now? Laura Finley is a registered nurse with more than 25 years of healthcare experience, a certified senior care manager, and a proud Air Force veteran. Laura is the founder of Guided Care RN Advocates, where she helps individuals and families navigate complex medical situations, avoid medical errors, manage hospital discharges, and make informed long-term care decisions. She's also the author of RN on Duty, Your Neighborhood Healthcare Cop, a book designed to help people better understand and advocate within the healthcare system. We are so happy to have her with us today. So let's say hello to Laura Finley. Hello, Laura.
Hello, Laura.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. I guess, just to kind of speak to your mother, I'm sorry you're going through that too, but I'm so happy to hear that she's getting good care right now, right? Because I feel like if your family and that you're there with her, right? Because I feel like if I have this little motto that I came up with actually a couple weeks ago. If your family isn't there, you're not getting the care, because... Oh,
I love that.
Yeah, yes. I mean, of course, it could be an advocate or anybody who's there watching out and being their protector, right? So,
right.
Yes, I just wanted to first, address that issue.
Thank you.
I didn't know that you were going through that. So
yeah, I appreciate that. It's very different because it's I was all the way through Susie's experience with her mom, was there the whole time. It's quite a different experience, and it shows that things can be done properly. This is not futile. We have hope, but it is such a different experience than what I know that Susie went through, and I know that so many people out there are going through. So, thank you.
Yes, yeah, and I got involved, or I met Susie, watching her movie. But at that time, I actually was moving into the space of long-term care reform. And I was like, oh, I'm going to become an ombudsman, and I'm going to do all this stuff. And, and then it was like, I saw that it's a state volunteer program. I mean,
right.
Like, how am I going to be, I'm not going to be impactful in that way, and then this movie came into my world, and I was just blown. I mean, I knew it was bad, right? Because through my almost 30-year nursing career, I've worked in a lot of different facets in healthcare. I started out as a cardiac nurse in the hospital, and then I moved into home health, which I have done. Most of my career was in home health. I was a field nurse. I was a clinical manager. I worked in quality with the star ratings, right? And I know how that data can be looked at, but I guess I don't know why I went down this route. But, with her movie, right? But I didn't realize it was that bad. I mean, when I saw the movie, and when that first scene where you were visiting your mom, and she couldn't talk, and I was like, I could see in her eyes, she just needed some water. That's all she needed. Mm-hmm. She needed water. And I'm like, give her some water. For God's sake, please give her some water. It's all she needs. I mean, I saw it.
The simplest thing. Yeah.
Right?
It was, and then they kept the water from her for so long. And I guess I didn't know. I know I didn't come on to talk about your movie, but I just wanted to tell you how impactful it was for me, because I've never worked in those places. I chose not to go down that route in my nursing career, because all they're doing is passing pills, and then I've never really had a loved one go through that process too. But I saw when people come home from those places, their meds are a mess. Everything is a mess. When they go to the hospital, they go to the rehab, sometimes stay long term, there's no communication, and that's how I became a patient advocate, just because I've seen so many gaps in healthcare, and just the confusion, and it's basically a game, the whole thing, and we're not winning it, they are. So
it's a money game.
The whole thing is, and so I'm just so glad that I found, that your movie found me, and it really impacted my life, and I really want to impact people's lives also, and that's where I'm going with what I'm doing now.
I love it. I love that you're doing that, and I mean, I learned so much about you since just knowing you when you contacted me. And by the way, Laura she is leading a walk in Chicago. I'm so excited. And so if you are in Chicago, you can find her, we'll have all the information on the show notes, but you can join her walk, and that would be fantastic, because the more people we get out there, the better. So I want to thank you for doing that first and foremost. Second of all, I can't believe that you were at Air Force.
I was.
I love that. That's thank you for your service.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yes, it was just to share a little bit about my journey. I've just been kind of floating around in the letting the universe, bring me to wherever I'm supposed to be, because I was 18 years old and in Chicago, and I was a little lost. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to college, or I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was driving home from this job that I had, and I looked over to my right, and there was an Air Force sign. And
it's like a movie.
Yeah, I literally decided to join the Air Force in that moment.
Wow.
Cut to close-up of sign. Cut to close-up of eyes.
Cut to widen out to you're in uniform.
Yes, exactly.
Basically, I didn't know anything about the military. Not even one thing. I knew nobody who was in the military. I didn't know about the Air Force. I mean, it was the best one to join, so that was good. And I spent 3 years in Germany. Or 2 years in Germany during the first Desert Storm, and then I got transferred to Fort Bragg in North Carolina, and it was terrible.
Really?
Yeah, it was bad. And then I had to get out. I wanted to get out early, and I'm only telling you this because this is part of my nursing journey. They would let me out of my contract early if I got accepted to college, and I'm like, what am I going to go to college for, So I'm looking through a book, and I find nursing, and I'm like, oh, I can do that. I want to help people. I can pass pills. That's exactly what I thought. I still remember when I thought that, and so that was how I got into nursing, because again, I knew nobody who was a nurse. I knew nothing about nursing, but I believe that was really the universe bringing me into my purpose. So,
wow. Amazing. So what was your focus in the beginning when you first came? You were an RN, and what was your...
Pills.
Pills? Right on.
Trying to survive. I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? It was insane. I was thrown to the wolves, which it's even probably worse now, because the education, the nurses are not getting the same education as they did back when I was 30 years ago in the 90s, right? And so I just happened to get involved in cardiac. So I started in cardiac, and I was in the hospital, and it was insane. I mean, I was just so worried that I was going to kill somebody the whole time I was in there.
Because you were undertrained?
Well, just overworked too, and
okay.
Especially in cardiac, because like it's the telemetry unit, it's like kind of step down ICU. Right. And sometimes I would get floated to the ICU, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, I don't want to be here," And it could change in a moment. You're doing everything that you need to do for your patients, and then it could just go haywire in 1 second, and then you're
right.
coding, and you're like, "Oh my God," I just wasn't good under that kind of pressure. And so this one day I saw this. There's always this woman over here, when I was trying to do my documentation, and I one day I said, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I'm in home health. I'm a home health liaison. And I'm like, what is home health? I didn't even know what home health was, So then that's when I was like, well, I'm getting involved in that, because I don't like
No wonder you just walked into this walk. No wonder you just went walk. I've never done one before, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
now it makes so much sense. So, when you're talking, all I can picture is the pit. The pit's going through my mind.
Too.
Yeah, but there'd be no way I would never be able to do the ER work, because that's a different world than anything.
That is pressure, right?
Yeah, I'm just not really good under that kind of real pressure. My mind kind of shuts down a little bit. I have to have at least a little bit of breathing room, where I can. I probably would be better now. I'm a little more experienced, and
yes,
I'm sure I could handle it if I had to, but I don't really want to.
I'm sure you could too. I have a question before you switch gears, or before you continue. As a nurse, did you notice Did you notice within the healthcare system a stigma with, if maybe you didn't have these kinds of patients, but any patients with dementia or Alzheimer's, just to see if that ever, if you ever ran into that?
Well, because what happens is, and again, I'm really sorry that anybody who's even listening that your loved one went through that or is going through that, because it is a really difficult, long process, right? Mm-hmm. But when in the hospital, and I was a younger nurse then too, so I didn't even really know what was going on, just trying to make it. But what the stigma really is because they can't really speak up for themselves, right? So if they have these other patients that are awake and alert and kind of know what's going on, and holding them kind of accountable to what they're doing. And again, I guess I'll just finish that statement. Then, they're going to concentrate on those patients rather than the one with dementia or Alzheimer's, right? Unless there's a family there advocating for them, right?
Right.
And again, I'm not saying anything bad about the providers, the nurses, the doctors. It's the system. The system is just overworking the staff, because staffing is the number one most expensive expense to any of the providers, whether it be rehab, long-term nursing home, hospital, doctor's office. It's across the board. I don't think there's a stigma in that, like a nurse or doctor is thinking badly of somebody who's diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's. It's just kind of this forced stigma, because they only have some
priorities. It's a forced priority.
Yeah,
and they don't understand it often. Often they just don't understand.
That's what I was just going to say. They don't understand. So I remember calling my mom during the hospital during COVID and saying, "Can I FaceTime with my mom?" Because I couldn't visit her, and they said, "Honey, she doesn't talk." And I was like, "Because first of all, you've intubated her without asking me, but." She can hear, she has ears, and she has eyes, and she can see. Let me FaceTime with her. It will make her feel comfortable. Otherwise, why are we keeping her alive? Like, I kept asking people that. Like, if you don't treat her like a human being, then why are we even, attending to her at all? We have to look at them as a whole human being. And that's what I found that was, the misunderstanding of the disease is pretty prevalent.
Yeah, I think too. Yes, and I do agree with that. They don't do enough education on it, or in services or provide, and maybe they provide information about it, but it's still, the providers have to read it and really live it, right?
Right.
And the healthcare system is so fragmented and task-orientated. This person is doing this task. This doctor is doing this. And none of them are talking and treating it as a whole.
Right. It's a lack of community even within the healthcare system, because when you're dealing with human beings, you have to have a community. You have to, and I'll just give you another example. When my mom was repeatedly sent to the hospital because in the nursing homes, when it gets when it begins to impinge on their resources, that's when they send them to the hospital, because then they don't have to deal with it. And there I am at the hospital again and admitting, and the nurse there would say to me, "Oh my God, she's back again? Like, this is her base. She's fine." But they don't know that because they don't, but other nurses wouldn't have known that. There's some nurses that were, very attuned to it. And she was, I got, exactly, this is her base. She's fine. But people don't understand when they're dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's. That is a problem. And I'm just bringing it up because we have a lot of people who listen who are dealing and caregivers for people with Alzheimer's. So,
and it's not just the nurses; it's the doctors also. They don't really they can send out things for them to read, but until you deal with it in reality, deal with the person sitting in front of you and know and recognize certain things that, they're incapable of doing this, or they don't know how to do this. But sometimes they read it as something completely different. It's just, there's just not enough education or real life experience for them.
It's also priority, like you said, Laura. It's like you have only so much time, so you have to prioritize. Like, how are you spending the time?
Yeah, and we're going to be losing 1 million nurses by 2027, which is next year. 1 million nurses. Who's going to be providing?
And why is that? Why is that happening, in your opinion?
Well, it's happening because, really of the burnout. I was burnt out, and I only worked part-time. My husband, he was a Chicago police officer, and so I worked as a PRN nurse. So I never had to work full-time. And I just think about, all these nurses who work full-time. And then I guess, like, when COVID hit, too, it really changed a lot. One, the new nurses did not get the education. They were like fast tracking. There's not enough instructors, too, and then the older nurses that have been in it, they're burnt out. And COVID just burnt them out, right? And it's just not worth it. And the thing is that you have people's lives in your hands sometimes, and that's why I left cardiac nursing, because I was just like, I do not want to be a part of. Because it's a lot, you're given these and when I was in it, they didn't really have all of the medication safety things, So I'm sure I did harm some people just because of making medication errors, and so it's just a lot, And like nurses, they have their lives, they have their families. And so they have to deal with all this on their shift, and then they have to go home and like deal with their life. And it's a lot about work-life balance, and I think like all the kind of the home jobs now that are coming forward. It's just easier to walk away from nursing.
Yeah.
And they're underpaid, underpaid too.
Underpaid, yes, definitely. And. Yeah. Because and the underpaid part is really kind of important to talk about, because like physical therapists and occupational therapists, that therapy world, they have to have masters and PhDs, and there's no reason for them to have a PhD. They don't have to write orders. They still like in home health, therapists can't write orders anyway. They still have to call the doctor to get the order, but yet they're getting paid double what nurses are getting paid. And in home health, the nurse is the one who's doing most of the work. And
they always are, right? The nurses take the brunt of all the work.
Yes.
And you guys know everything. And you are the eyes and ears of my mom's night nurse was the only person that still liked me and talked to me during those last 6 months. But she would say to me, because I always sang with my mom, and she would go, she said to me, when next time she goes to the hospital, don't bring her back. Don't bring her back. And because she knew. And she said, "You were a good daughter." I'm like, like somebody sympathetic, somebody that gets it,
Yeah, I'm sure you just held on to that one.
I did,
thing, right? Because it was everything.
I did
at the moment, right? Because
it's so important.
You feel so alone, And I guess that's why I wrote my book too, because I want people. Because I can only impact. I don't have that much bandwidth to be able to help, people in person and remotely. But, with the book, now people can use that. And I'll just tell you a quick story that happened recently.
Yeah.
So, I told you I was in Las Vegas, dealing with some family stuff. And I was cleaning out my aunt's house. And I went outside and I met this gentleman who was the son of the woman who was her neighbor. And he said that he had just recently moved back from Arizona and moved in with her because she was going through health issues. And so the next day, I told him what I did and stuff, but the next day I was on the porch and I saw him walking and he looked really upset. And I said, "Well, what's going on? How are you doing?" You know, and he's crying and he's like, "I'm just so overwhelmed with my mom's appointments and just trying to manage it, and I don't want her to know how I'm feeling." And I had actually brought one physical copy of my book with me because I knew I would run into somebody who needed it. So I did actually gift it to him, and I said, use this, this will help you, with your journey with your mother. So a couple days later, I see him again. He's like, "Laura, oh my God, I started reading your book, and I am going to bring this to every doctor's appointment, and it is just going to help me so much. Thank you."
Oh, isn't that the best reward ever?
It's like, it was everything to me because that's
everything.
Exactly what my goal was for the book. And, I just want everybody to get their hands on it so they have that resource. You bring this book with you to your doctor's appointments, to the ER. There's a chapter on ER. There's a chapter on doctor's appointment. There's a chapter on insurance. So whatever you need.
I could have used your book so much. I could have used it so bad. Because ER is so different than when they get admitted, and then and it's I had to learn it by rote. So it was like a hospitalist. Oh, that's the doctor that works at the hospitals. Okay, that's different than the admitting the doctors, and then they're just it's so tangled. And how to and your case manager and who is on your side, because every time my mom would go to the hospital, I'd get somebody from palliative going, "So what do you want to do?"
Oh God.
Which is basically should we just let her die? It's that. But they don't say it. Yeah, they don't say it because I always had my mom resuscitate, because I didn't want them to not resuscitate her when I wasn't there and on their own choice. I wanted to see if with my own eyes if she was ready.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I knew, because I already went through a bad issue with that, so I was like, she is, she's full code or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Full code, yes. And so I was like,
you're not going to have the conversations either. It's really about how they're presenting it. I think I do have a chapter on end of life conversations too, and because we also do want to make sure it's the right time and they're in the right level of care, right? And
yes,
they just don't know how to have those conversations and coordinate that. And so I actually worked with a family recently. Mostly did remote work, but helped them, prep for the care conferences. Really, this client, or we'll say patient, or this person, their loved one, really, should have been going down that comfort care road, but they're not ready for it. So when they're in the hospital and they're just trying to push it. But the family's not ready for it. And the family's a big part of it. And but then they don't even really present it the right way either, so that they can make a good decision. And I had to really. We had this big care conference with the ethics committee and all the doctors, the nurses, the family were all there, and I had kind of had a prep conversation with them before it, and I said they're probably going to bring up code status, so let's kind of talk about it and what that's going to look like for you guys. And so I explained it to them, and so that they were ready for it, but they didn't even bring it up. They didn't even bring it up at all. I'm the one who I'm like, well, we need to talk about code status here and what that looks like for them.
Right.
They didn't even bring it. The ethics doctor was there too and did not even bring it up. And and it's a hard conversation, but you need to have it.
Well, and then there's the other spectrum of it where they come in and go, "Are you sure you want your mom on full code? Because here's what happens if she goes into cardiac arrest. We're going to have to do, chest compressions, and it's really not good, and they break their ribs." And I said, I know that's the worst case scenario. I'm not unaware of that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it, if she needs oxygen, if she needs, let's give her the opportunity to make the decision on her own. I truly believe that people check out when they're ready to check out. Mm-hmm. I really do. I think that it is a natural process. I'm not saying they don't need help. I'm saying when they're ready to use that help, when they're ready. And hospice can be really helpful. It's also gotten gamed very badly.
Oh my God, yes.
So you have to be careful with that because people are, places are.
What happened to your mother? I couldn't even believe that would happen to her.
But that's not unusual. That's
California, and California right now, there's a whole big fraud,
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you knew it was going on, but you didn't know it was that bad.
I didn't know it was that. I thought it was just us.
Yeah, you just think that's the thing is people just don't know until they're in it, and even when they're in it, they don't know. Susie didn't learn any of this until after the fact.
Right.
Everything that happened, she learned after why, and that was during the making of the documentary. Was and dealing with our producing partner Rick Mountcastle, who informed her what was going on. She just thought she was going crazy because. None of it made sense.
Yeah, because they tell you that. They say, you're stressed out. You're just experiencing stress, and
right.
This is the best thing for your mom. I go, I don't think so. Like she needs liquids. Like she's not aspirating. Like this is not the best thing for her. This is a horrible quality of life. Like this is not good. I mean, that's just common sense. But quick segue because we're talking about crisis, right? And you call yourself. What is it, that healthcare cop, right?
Yes.
And that what is that? You say suddenly when someone's thrown into crisis, like we're talking about it, and then you have like three things that they should do in that situation from your book.
Oh well, I mean, so I came across being a neighborhood healthcare cop because I dealt with it in my family. My mother's in Vegas, and Vegas healthcare is horrible. And, I was just really frustrated with what was happening with her. And I was out to lunch with a friend, and she's like, and I'm complaining, and she's like, you're a healthcare cop. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a healthcare cop. I'm going to be a healthcare cop. And that's really where the patient advocacy really came forward. That's where I started my journey to become a board-certified patient advocate. And really, I mean, it's really about being a protector, being a protector, and not doing it alone. You want to make sure that you are reaching out for help. And it's hard for people to reach out for help because they feel like they're crazy, and just really not knowing or knowing that you're not alone in it. And just having the confidence to speak up and, ask questions and know that you're not crazy.
And know your rights. Know what you're allowed to, right? Because I think that, also having an advocate is very, very powerful. By the way, I love healthcare cop. I think that I think we should change advocate to healthcare cop because that makes so much sense. It's like you are protecting people and it gives you authority. It's like advocate's nice, it's sweet, it's soft. But cop, if you're a healthcare cop, it's like it holds more authority. I love that.
That's what an ombudsman should be too. That's what they should be called too. Is healthcare
I agree.
cop.
And it just that program, the ombudsman. I mean, that could be good, right? But
if they were given any power,
right? And then if a complaint does go forward, it just gets brushed off anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I think it just really reflects what is needed now, which is really, a team of enforcement, and that's what we're lacking. And so, you're right, like ombudsmen and advocates should have that level of enforcement where they are informed and they know what their rights are and they know how to push it, because, there were so many things that I would say to the director or the administrator, or the head director at hospice, and I would say, my mom really shouldn't be on this Foley catheter. Like, it's been 5 months. Like, what? And sure enough, she ended up in the hospital from it. But they literally yelled at me. I think it's in the documentary where she just goes, "My dad's been on it for 2 years. It's not a problem." And I'm not a doctor, but I did a little research, and everything says it's a problem. It shouldn't be in a person.
And your dad isn't your mom. I mean, dad isn't your mom. Everyone's different. It's not, one size fits all.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the measures for the star ratings is catheter-related infections. But again, we know the star ratings are skewed data. It's what's being put in
self-reported. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, everybody listening? I mean, it's everything that happened to my mom are like, they're supposed to be never events, right? Like catheter infection. She got the worst catheter infection, like had to have blood transfusions, and her bladder flushed like 5 times because of it. Food, pressure sores.
The pressure sore
right?
was just crazy. And they didn't even tell you about it.
Twice.
No, because it didn't happen there.
That, according to them, it happened in the ambulance, as it always does.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it didn't happen there.
One of my expertise too is really the transitions from, like when they go to the hospital and then they go to rehab or into long term, because you need somebody there to know, was that wound really there when she got there? And so, and just even like with the medications get all messed up. Like, they go from home to hospital, rehab, home, and their meds are totally, completely different,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another thing as a patient advocate and navigator is I can do med reconciliation when they come home to make, if something's not right, I call the doctor, hey, is she supposed to be on this blood thinner or not? Or so those kinds of things. So you just really being a healthcare cop is, being community too, being informative and a protector. And the book teaches family members and also people themselves to advocate for themselves.
So true.
It's a book for everybody, and there's a medical binder in the back where you can write in your med list or your specialist, and you bring the book, and then when the doctor asks, well, have there been any medication changes? And then you say, and you don't even remember. Oh no, there's it's all the same. But no, you just show them that, and then they have to go against what their meds. Oh no, this is wrong. We got to fix that. What happened there? Because
we so often think that medical records will be, all they have to do, doctor has to do is look at their medical records. They know exactly what's going on.
No.
That is not even close to the case.
No.
It's like, well, we don't really need to know because it'll be there. Their meds will be there. Nope. Everything that's been done to her will be there.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I started figuring that out towards the last month or so of my mom's life, because she kept going in for another, infection, all the different infections that she had, sepsis, and the doctor's like, the ER doctor, she's going to be okay. I just put her on this antibiotic, but she's already on an antibiotic. And I go, is that okay? And he just looks at me and goes, yeah, it's fine. I put that in the documentary too.
I know.
Because he really said, he said he did not know, but he goes,
I had no idea. Didn't look at her records at all.
Look at it. They don't look at it before they come in the room. They know nothing sometimes. I'm not going to say always.
Sometimes.
Yes, I'm not going to put a blanket over it, but
No.
There's just not a lot of. They don't have enough time. The hospitalists are covering how many patients in the hospital, and then trying to get information from them. And the patient portals are not updated. With the notes, they don't have to put the notes in there for 10 days. It's like,
is that right?
Well,
you don't have to put the.
The really. I mean, I don't know about 10 days, but I had a client, and they were blocking me as a patient advocate from having access to this client's portal, which the spouse gave me permission. And there's a new law, not a new law, 10 years. It's called the 21st CARES Act, I think, and they're really cracking down on information blocking now. So they can't block the information, but the only really real-time information you'll probably get in those portals when they're in the hospital is lab results and test results. But the doctor's notes or the nurse's notes or the wound care notes, it might be a week before you might see an update.
Yeah, and they get redacted and they get changed.
Right.
As I found out.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, especially in long-term care, too.
Oh, yeah.
I worked with I know a physical therapist that worked in two nursing homes there in California, and she's actually going to be a whistleblower. She got wrongfully terminated. They were asking her to change her documentation. They weren't letting her help the patient or the residents. Well, it was that one I sent you the poem on that.
Yes.
The room down the hall, the room down the hall. That was.
I posted that on my socials. If you guys want to see it, it's really, really powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but she, they were asking her to change, and she documented everything. Well,
that's what happened with the whistleblower that we had in our documentary. It's pretty much the same thing, and she sounds just like that nurse, and they kept saying, you didn't do your notes right, and she said, what are you talking about? I'm a career nurse. I know how to do my notes. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't think so. You need to go back out there until you can check, until you get your notes right. Basically coercing her to change her notes. That's when she decided to become a whistleblower, and it was just awful. And if you watch the documentary, it's heartbreaking because it was a 12-year, law. It was a
case,
law. What do you call it? Law case, and she was like, just exhausted by the end of it because it's really.
Did you say 12 years?
Yeah.
What?
12 years, and
wow.
The case, it did bring on like a $300 million judgment, and then what happened was that they filed for bankruptcy and then just reopened under another name. So she was devastated because she had just sacrificed so much, including her career, to do that, and that she was just devastated from it. So this is the problem with the system.
Right.
Yeah.
We can only just do what we can do, right? We have to keep moving.
We're doing the best we can. So give us 3 things that you should that people can walk away with today, and then they have to get your book for the rest of it. What would you think would be really important to talk about?
So one, just really reach out, with your resources, your family, your friends, and because this is happening all over the place, and really know that you're not alone. 2,
and you shouldn't be alone. Can I just interject? Like like you just said, a friend. Let's say you have to go to an important, doctor's appointment with your loved one. Bring a friend so that you have 2 people, in that room to remember, to clock, to also just support you and give you strength. I think that might be helpful because when you go alone, you can get you can feel like very small.
And you don't remember what they tell you. You don't,
right, and
you're in a
sick.
different state of mind.
You're sick. You're stressed. You can't remember it. Yes, definitely always bring somebody if you can. But a lot of times, people don't have anybody, too. So again, then, this book would be really, really helpful for that. 2, know that you have a right, to respectful and dignified care. And you always have a right to appeal it. And if you don't feel like your loved one's discharge is safe, if you feel like it's safe for them to come home, you can always stop and say that. Say, I don't feel that this discharge plan is safe. I would like a reevaluation. And they have
That's
to. That's
really important.
And they have to reevaluate the situation. And they still might push back, and they still might say she's got to go or he's got to go. You have a right to appeal. Especially if you have Medicare, they're supposed to give you, and this is really important. A lot of people don't know this. So it's called a notice of Medicare non-coverage. And they're any type of provider, whether you're in the hospital, whether you're in a nursing home or rehab, we'll say, because you're not going to get discharged from a nursing home. But if you go to a nursing home for rehab or home health, if they're discharging you, they're supposed to give this to the patient or the patient's representative 2 days before the discharge and inform you of that discharge date. And on that form, there's an appeal number. So you have a right to appeal the discharge. And you just call that number, and then it stops everything. And now there's a third-party investigation on if this discharge is appropriate or not.
So does it stop the discharge once that goes into motion?
Yes, it stops it.
Oh my God, that's gold, you guys.
That's huge.
That's gold right there.
Huge.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And mic drop. That's a good
Yes, and I
one.
actually have that process in my book in one of the appendix. So it tells you how to do that and explains that process. And then it'll stop it for at least a couple days. It'll give you a couple days at least. But the thing that I found out, I'll just tell you a quick story about this, because my mom was in the hospital in Vegas and I'm here. And when I tell you the care is just horrendous there, it is just as bad as it can be, we'll say. Mm-hmm. So they were trying to discharge my mother without finding out where she was bleeding. And I said, and so I had her on speaker, and I'm like, Mom, you're going to appeal this discharge, okay? You're gonna appeal this discharge. And so there must have been somebody in the room, like one of the workers, because as soon as I said that, they started doing all of these tests on her. As soon as I did that. And it was funny because when we were discharged, when she finally was discharged, the case manager is the one who usually gives that form. And they're supposed to give it early, but they usually give it at discharge. And she's like, I'm giving your mother the form, and I'm informing her that we're going to be discharging her. Are you going to appeal it? And I'm like, no, we're not going to appeal it. So then she left the room, and my mom's roommate was like, man, that was great. She's like, I'm going to do that same thing. So her roommate heard all that.
I just want to stay. Now, is that
I
only for Medicare? Is that only is that just a Medicare thing, or if you have your own insurance?
You can do an insurance appeal too. It's just a little different process, but you can just say that. You can appeal it too. You want to talk to the case manager. So it's usually either a social worker, the inpatient case manager, the social worker, or a nurse. Usually it's one of those two that do that position. But it's also the same for home health too. You can appeal that process and the nursing home too. So
I love it. That's so gold. That's such gold right there.
So valuable.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. Wow, this is great. This was a great hour. I love it. You brought so much good information to everybody. Your book's going to be invaluable. I'm excited. When is your book coming out?
It's already published on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called RN on Duty, Your Neighborhood Healthcare Cop. So it's ready for sale. So
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, we'll cut this out. I thought it was coming out in May for some reason.
Oh no, it's already
it's already out. Okay.
It's been published since it's self-published, but it was published in February.
Oh, great. Well, so it's still new. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll cut all that out.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody needs to chop and get onto Amazon and get that book. If you're taking, yeah, I do. I think it's really good. I mean, you've got some practical advice in there that everybody needs, because when you're in crisis and you are being told so many things at the same time, and it's like, people will badger you into a decision that you're so tired and you're so emotional that you don't know what to do. Yeah,
I think it takes the emotions, it helps to take the emotions out of it, right?
Yes.
'Cause that's what really stops us from hearing and listening and being able to make those decisions. And, they bully you. They bully you, and it's hard to stand up to that. Because you don't want to seem like a bee, right? Or
and you fear retaliation. You fear
retaliation.
It's like, wait, these are the people caring for my loved one or caring for me,
real.
And I'm going to complain. But you have to, you have to.
But I think you have to feel I think all of us have a sense of when people are being straight with you and when they're not. But when you are in crisis and you have that inkling that they're not really being straight with you, but your bandwidth is just blown. It's like you can't take another bit of responsibility, so you're looking to them for answers, and you know that instinctively those answers aren't right, but no one's giving you a different a choice that sounds right. So you don't know what to do, and you get bullied, and or it just gets done. And
they're wearing a uniform. Yeah, they're wearing a uniform too, which makes a big difference. You put an automatic trust
difference
when you're talking to somebody in a uniform.
That's why they do it in commercials. They do that in commercials. They do that in politics. People.
Everything that you see.
Everything. Hi, I'm a doctor. Yep. Suddenly, I know more than you.
I have a stethoscope.
But I'm wearing. Yeah.
I did forget. I wanted to talk about one more thing real quick, if it's
sure.
Okay. So. There is a Medicare benefit for patient advocacy and navigation. If you have, I partner with a company. There's two companies that do it. It's Solus and now Umbra Advocacy, and that's who I'm partnering with. So basically, if you have Medicare, traditional Medicare, not Medicare C, and I would not suggest going into Medicare C if you can help it. I do talk about that in my book too.
Thank God, you guys! If you don't know about it,
that's Medicare Advantage.
That's another piece of gold.
Yes. I call them Medicare C scams.
Yes.
But, anyways, we won't go down that route. But so if you have traditional Medicare and a supplement, you could qualify to have patient advocacy services or navigation services through Medicare.
Wow.
Yeah, this is gold.
Another big wow. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Who knew that?
So if you have one chronic condition that you're managing, or barriers to care, such as like you don't have transportation to your doctor's appointment, or you can't afford your medications, you could qualify. So basically, I can give you the link to, you can share. You would just sign up through the link. You would go through the qualification process. You would meet with a provider. They would qualify you for the service, and then they would send you back to me to provide the services. But one caveat is it's virtual. So you would do Zoom appointments with the provider and with me as the advocate, and it's in all 50 states.
Amazing. Wow. Because you don't always have to go in. Like, yes, of course you have to go in for tests and things like that. But then when you're just doing a follow-up, and then you need somebody to be your second voice.
Doing a med rec, or, doing disease management, like if they have congestive heart failure, diabetes, Something came up on my screen here. Sorry. Yeah. So.
Is there a charge for your services? Do you charge for your services?
Yeah, if you were to sign up with me independently, yes. I'm a private patient advocate. So, but I don't work for a hospital. I don't work for anybody. I work for my clients.
So would you be covered through Medicare? Could you be covered?
Yeah, if you came through that way. So there's like two kind of paths you could go. Like if you were to hire me independently, like I could go to the ER with you. I could go to the nursing home. I could do all those things, or do like kind of remote things too. Be on your doctor's appointment on the phone and be listening.
Right.
But if you go through the other way, it's covered by Medicare. If you have the traditional and a supplement, and then I would get compensated through that organization that I.
And can a family member also who is a caregiver, can they be covered, or do they have to have a certain qualification?
You mean as basically doing what
as an
she's
advocate?
Doing? Yeah.
Well, I mean,
like as if.
Yeah, they. Oh, you mean like could they be the advocate?
Be compensated?
No.
No.
You have to.
It has to be a professional.
Yeah, professional. Yeah. Either.
Got it.
Usually it's nurses or physician's assistant. I mean anybody can become a patient advocate. You don't have to be medical to become a board certified patient advocate. We have there's about 700. I don't know. There's probably more than that, but I mean, it's a very young industry, but it's growing and
so needed.
Yes, and there's also another site called Greater National Advocates where people can go, and I'll share that link with you.
Great.
But that's where they have all the advocates' bios and what they specialize in. I mean, there's some really off-the-wall diagnoses out there that's going on. So there's people that specialize in those kinds of things.
Gotcha. And it's in every state. Is that so? Yeah, it's a federal. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the Greater National Advocates, that would be hooking you up with just independent patient advocates, whereas the Umbra advocacy is it's in all 50 states, but it's a different path, we'll say.
Okay. Well, they're just going to have to. I think everyone is going to be intrigued by this conversation because there's a lot of like practical advice that you're giving. It's so useful. So
yes.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you came on and talked about this. This is really useful. Yeah. It's super great. And so I'm so thankful for you in so many ways because you're just taking on Chicago and doing our walk and taking on the healthcare system and being a healthcare cop. I love that. and you're
I have to get a cop hat, right?
Oh, you should. Yeah. You're a special woman. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You are too. And I'm really glad that you came into my world and are helping, and you're helping me, grow and be a better person too.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much. That means so much. That's why it's all about love, right? It's really at the end of the day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right, Donald?
And that's because love is powerful. Love is contagious, and love conquers all. We thank everybody for watching, listening. If you like what you saw and heard today, please like, share, subscribe, do all those things. And remember to go to roar4ltc.org. Look at what we're doing. Become a Roarier. Join the walk in September. Become a walk leader. You don't want all these other states showing you up, do you? No. We need the challenge has been thrown. The gauntlet has been laid down. Definitely come and check us out.
And get yourself a copy of RN on Duty.
Definitely.
Like now, after you finish listening to this, when we say goodbye, then just go right over to Amazon and go
immediately.
You can find it, say RN on Duty book, and it'll come up. I'm next to the cute little nursing outfit, though, that they have on there.
All right, you all take care, be safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.